Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, like 10 a.m. over here. Just wanted to pop on and say hello, see how everyone's doing. I have a pretty busy day today, with work. I have a lot of meetings this afternoon, so I am just trying to get ready for it. Um, I work in customer service, so the days can be long. I work 11 to 7:30, so it feels like it's my entire day and night. I never log off right at 7:30. So, yeah, it's going to be a busy one, but it makes the time go by fast, hopefully. Usually it does. Um, so I was talking with a friend last night, um, and I had mentioned a movie that I've loved since I was little, Miss Doubtfire. And she was like, "You still watch that?" And it just kind of got me thinking. So I have this thing that I do. Um, I don't like watching new movies or new shows. I watch the same handful of shows over and over again. Same thing with movies. And I try to explain it to people, um, that I like knowing how things end. Life is too real. And from moment to moment, you never know what's going to happen. And it's unsettling for someone like me, um, not knowing the outcome. So I tend to watch like NCIS, Bones. I rewatch all the Chicago shows, FBI. Um, it's just something I've done since I was little. It's difficult for me to watch like a new movie because I have um triggers. So things that have a lot of like abuse, violence, rape, stuff like that. A lot of nudity or any nudity, it's a trigger for me. Um, it makes me just extremely uncomfortable. And that's why I don't watch many new movies. It's unfortunate for my boyfriend because he loves watching new movies or, every type of movie possible. And I just can't. It's very stressful for me to not know what's going to happen. And, she was like, why? And I was like, because it's a trigger. And for someone that doesn't deal with that or know what it feels like to have those moments of, PTSD and having triggers from things that happen, it, brings you back to different moments. Um, she really couldn't understand. And she was like, "Oh, that's you, that's fine. It's whatever." She's like, "It's just weird. You watch a movie from like the early 90s, or was it the early night? It could have been like 89, maybe, Miss Doubtfire. I'm not sure. But I love it because those movies also hold so many good memories for me. Like that movie specifically. Um, that was like the first ever VHS tape my mom bought. We didn't have like money growing up, so it was like a big deal when she bought that because they had just bought VCR off of QVC. So I'm really, really dating myself right now. Um, and it was a big deal. We got like popcorn and we all like laid in my mom's bed and like watched the movie. And so it's such a special memory for me, um, because in that moment of time, everything was good. You know what I mean? And it was like we're all sitting there laughing at the movie. Um, and I must have watched it that week probably like 10 times that first week because it was just like, it was the excitement of like, now I knew how it ended. And I wasn't always like this. So I think back then I wasn't like that yet. But I loved it because I thought it was such a good story. I still hate Sally Field to this day for what she did to him. Divorced him, broke his heart. Yeah, still don't like her. Um, but it just, certain movies bring back certain things. NCIS and Bones will always hold a special place in my heart now. Since Grammy passed away, that was like, those were our shows that like we watched. I tried to get her into the Chicago show. She wasn't feeling it. Um, so like watching them, there's, certain scenes and certain episodes where like I literally can remember sitting at our kitchen table, on the little TV that was in there, just sitting there watching, the shows and laughing together and stuff. So those two, even before she passed last year, um, I watched them over and over again. TV shows are a little bit different because there's not usually like nudity or anything that is like heavily violent or, like the abuse of women and stuff like that. Like it's not super heavy most of the time, whereas in a movie it can be very graphic and that type of stuff. So it's just one of those things. Another movie, Empire Records, that movie also came out in the 90s, but that was one that I watched all the time because my mom's boyfriend at the time, Frank, put it on for me one day. He's like, hey, you got to watch this movie, it's awesome. And so that movie I associate with him, and like again, a good time like in my life when things were, before everything got messed up, before my mom met this super shitty guy and they started doing heroin together. Like it was before everything fell apart and before a lot of the traumas or the situations that led to me having triggers happened. So I still watch those movies, 10 Things I Hate About You, like all those ones that you don't have that now. They don't make movies like that anymore, in my opinion. So yeah, so we were talking about it and joking because, we had gone to see The Little Mermaid together and she was saying how she couldn't get the song out of her head. And so it just kind of like went down that road. So yeah, I don't know, just a random like tidbit. Do you guys do that? Like, does anyone else watch the same shows over and over again or the same movies? I have my own section on the TV, like the app that we use, strictly for my Oh, The Proposal. Watch that all the time. Like You Got Mail. So I have my own area, so I don't even have to scroll through the other movies because I don't want to see any of it. um so yeah, not much going on today. It was a relatively quiet night, and I gotta, get the boys. My son's going to the gym today. My son, he has a girlfriend now, and this is the first girlfriend he's had, and this is the first experience that I've had with a child having a girlfriend. And it's kind of weird, like he's super excited about it. He like texted me and he was like, I have good news. And I was like, oh God, what? He's like, I have a girlfriend now. And I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe like he texted me it, and like he's still like my little baby. So it's like really strange. And like, I had said to, a few people or whatever, like, oh, he has a girlfriend now. And their first reaction was get him protection. And I'm like, let me just first digest the fact that my little boy that I still look at as if he was like 10 years old now has a girlfriend. Like, let me just digest that before you throw all that nastiness into it. And yes, I know like he's at the age, but I just thought it was really cute. He was so excited about it. But also with that comes along conversations that I'm gonna have to have. And it's things that like I didn't think about at first until last night. He was having like a conversation with his friends, and I'm pretty sure he was like telling them like about her. And I just need to make sure he understands, like, when you're in a relationship, there are things that you keep private. You don't go, you know, talking to your friends and like things like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So just conversations that I'm going to have, because I'm the mom. And I think coming from me, as uncomfortable as it might be for both of us to have the conversation at first, um, I think it's important that I have it with him. Um, so that'll be interesting. I was going to bring it up on the school ride this morning. I'm like, no, then he's going to be thinking about it all day that like I heard his conversation or something, which I didn't hear it, but I heard like certain things. I can throw my hearing pretty well. So I was trying not to listen, but he was also being loud so I could hear it. But yeah, I don't know. So I'm going to have those conversations. And as a girl, you know, my mom didn't have any conversations with me. I mean, like none, no conversations about becoming a woman, about boyfriends, sex, nothing. There was no conversation. My friend, or she's not my friend anymore, but she was like a cousin almost. She was the one that told me about, like, you know, when I first became a woman, what that means and the tools that you will need when that happens. And yeah, it's probably why I was a late bloomer. I didn't have a boyfriend until I was 19. Like, you know, in 8th grade, like me and this kid Mark dated for like 3 weeks, but like it was just saying like we dated. Like there was no actual dating or anything happening. Um, so I was a late bloomer, and there were a lot of things I was naive to. A lot of situations that I ended up in, and had I had some type of conversation or just the openness, like I felt like I could talk to my mom about everything, but because we never discussed any of that stuff, it felt like it was taboo. Like we didn't talk about that stuff. So like there were situations I got myself in that I feel like if there were more open conversations about dating and like being around guys and like just all that stuff, I feel like things could have been a bit different at certain times. So I need to make sure I have those convos, and I need to make sure it's done in a mature way, and not like, you know, in a joking manner where the point of it gets lost in translation type of thing. So wish me luck on that one. So another funny type of story. So I have talked about before, I think, that I worked in a group home for all teenage girls. And mind you, when I went for this interview, it was in this really nice big house. And they were like, yeah, we have residents that live here. So I'm thinking, because I had worked in a detox prior to that, absolutely hated it. It was every job that I've done before this one, I've pretty much hated. Like you learn as you go along, like what you don't want to do again. So I had worked in a detox, and it was all women. In Massachusetts, you can section people that are, you know, substance abusers that are possibly a threat to themselves or to others. You can section them if you're a family member. And so they have no choice but they get arrested. And then they go to a detox where it's mandatory for 30 days. So I had worked there, and it was eye-opening. I think I did so well there because my entire side of my mother's family are addicts. Every type of addict you can imagine. They did it all. So for me, it wasn't a huge jump from like what I had lived through and like seen like growing up and stuff like that. And I just have a weird way. I went to school for psychology, and it was my thing. That was my jam. And if I hadn't become homeless, I definitely would have followed through with it because my dream was to be a psychiatrist or some type of like counselor, therapist, something in that realm. So I'm really good at telling people what they want to hear, which is why I'm good at customer service as much as I hate people. um, I love my job. I love the company and in my job, but people, it's horrible dealing with the public. So I'm good at saying what needs to be said and kind of like troubleshooting in the moment and getting things taken care of and showing like that genuine empathy. So I did really well at the detox. It was just that nonstop fear of fights breaking out again, violence, seeing people hit each other. I can't do it. So anyway, when I went to the interview for the group home, it was I didn't ask any questions about who lived there until the very end. She offered me the job right on the spot for per diem. I was like, hell yeah. I had 2 little kids. So it was great because I could choose which shifts I took, depending on my, at their dad and things going on with them. So it was awesome. So as I'm leaving, I said, hey, by the way, what kind of residents live here? Because she explained what the job entailed, but didn't explain who lived there or anything like that. And she was like, oh, these are teenage girls. I was like, so 15 teenage girls live here at all times. And you just told me that I will learn how to restrain people. I'm like, oh my God, worst nightmare working in a group home, teenage girls. Um, it was the most wild, eye-opening thing. It's where I learned the system is so incredibly broken. Um, but when I left there, there's boundaries that you have to have, which is sometimes hard when you're an empath. And I made really strong connections with a lot of the girls that went through there, hearing about their life and everything that they had gone through and how they got there was so insane, so insane. But I remain friends with a few of them. Once they aged out, they like requested me on Facebook, and I'm like, fine, because I'm not an oversharer of my life on social media. So I was like harmless, So it's funny because I have 2 of them that are like both had horrific upbringings. And one of them put herself through college. She has 2 kids. She has just done so well. And she always had that drive, even while we were there. We had issues with her, like being a bit promiscuous and stuff like that. But she was a sweetheart. She worked hard, like she had goals and she reached all of them. And she's doing very well for herself and her kids. She doesn't have family. Family is completely out of the picture. So I have her and I watch her blossom and all the things. And I have another one who is the total opposite and is in one of those vicious cycles of like doing the same thing and getting the same result. And I'm like, I'll message her and I'll say, hey, saw your post, what's going on? And so I still try and like be there for her. And now that she's an adult, I'm a little more honest or blunt with things. And, the other day she was like, man, she's like, if you would have adopted me, my life would have been great. And I'm like, dude, I had nowhere to put any of you. You know how many kids I would have taken if I could. But she's like, I feel like everything is the same outcome no matter what I do. And I said, the number one thing you need to stop doing is assuming that you need a guy to fix your life. Like, stop looking for a guy right now. Like, focus on getting you better, focus on your kids. You know what I mean? So, um, so yeah, I guess the moral of the story is, you never know what's going on in someone's life. And sometimes when you do know, it's heartbreaking, but like I'm super happy for the one that's doing well, and all I can do is continue to chat with the one that is still struggling and try and be there for her. Because I love doing that. I love, being there for people that don't have anyone in their corner. So yeah, I'll talk more about the group home and detox life, maybe in the next episode. Great stories, good and sad, but anywho, I have to log on to work. So I'm going to end this with, I hope y'all are doing great. Thanks for to the new subscribers. Leave a comment. Let me know, if you've dealt with any of this, if you watch the same movies over and over again and what your reasoning is. Might be the same as mine. It's actually, there's studies based on it that's why people do that and watch the same thing, because they know the outcome in real life is too realistic. But yeah, I hope you all have a great day. And I will probably do a school pickup later on, hopefully. Have a good one. Bye.